We have, in fact, two kinds of morality, side by side, one which we preach but do not practice, and the other which we practice but seldom preach. That is a quote from Bernard Russell, and this is the International Academy of Ethics Poetry Recital. Welcome one and all, welcome one and all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever on the planet you are. I'm glad that you can join us for the second recital that is brought to you by the International Academy of Ethics. It's a venture that was started by our good friend, Dr. Janil Anand, and I'm so glad to be a fellow member of the Academy and looking forward to the works that we will be doing as this goes on. The Academy puts on a lot of discussions, like we've been having a lot of, not so much debates, but talks on various topics. And now we've added the poetry recital, because to me, this is just another form of storytelling. This is another form of us sharing our lived experience through poetry. You know, when I write a poem, I know why I write it and I know the intent behind it. But when I share it, I don't share that intent. I want you to take from it what you take from it, what resonates for you. If it doesn't resonate, great. But what resonates from you? I'm human like anyone else. I want you to like what I do, but at the end of the day, I don't care if you do. So I will write based on my truth, but it's not the truth. And I think as poets, it is our job to be as honest as we can in what we put out into the world, knowing that there are going to be eyes and ears that's going to be witnessing what we are sharing with the world. So anyway, I hope you're well. We have a fantastic show today. We have two amazing, excuse me. Like I said, I'm still fighting a bit of a bug. We have two amazing features that we have the honor of highlighting, spotlighting. We have Bhagirath Choudhary. Like I said, forgive me if I'm butchering your names, but I'm accepting the challenge of wanting to pronounce your name the way you say it. So, and then we also have Dr. Parneet Jaggi as our two featured, and then we have a list guest poets that we've invited to share. We have Alexandria, we have Harinda Shima, Professor Sharana Francis, Kieran Pert, and Diana Ward, and Dr. Shasminda Jitkar, I believe. I'm pretty sure I butchered that, but I'm going to keep trying. And like I said to you, if I do butcher it, let me know. I welcome you telling me how you pronounce your name. Because here in the West, we've gotten very lazy and we're just used to English names. I love when you have opportunities like this to interact with people from around the world and understand how they say their names, how they pronounce their names. So it's very important. Just like when I meet people here in Toronto from other parts of the world, or people that have moved here, a number of people have moved here will have an English name. And I go, no, what is your name? Not your English name. So anyway, I hope you're well. I hope you are well. We're alive. We got up on the right side of the dirt today. So that's a good day. And now we get together, and now we get to come together and share our love of poetry and words. So we'll get this going. And before we do, I will touch on this later on. But earlier this week, it was brought to my attention that Dr. Janil was honored at the 60th Belgrade International Meeting of Writers. He was honored with the Charter of Murava. Right? It is a prestigious award that he was honored by the Association of Serbian Writers in Belgrade. He was actually supposed to attend the festivities, but he could not because life happened. And this is a big deal. I didn't realize how big a deal it was until I actually did some investigating. Now, he had told me about it, But the fact that he could not make it because, like I said, life happened, the Indian embassy showed up to accept this award on his behalf. So this isn't just a great honor for him. This is a great honor for the country of India and the writers of India that he represents. So I just thought it was fitting. I will read it when I bring him up to introduce the new feature, because he's not just a brilliant poet. One of the reasons I enjoy talking to him, we have these great conversations, and he's a philosopher as well, and I enjoy those conversations with him. So I think it's important that we recognize, look, we're all special, but when we have people in our humanity that does amazing things and continue to do that, they should be recognized, not put on a pedestal, but recognized for their humanity, recognized for their hard work, recognized for their dedication to wanting to uplift our human consciousness. And this is what I get from him when I read his poetry and when I speak with him. He's human. He's a man just like me, but he's also fulfilling that voice, that drive, that itch inside to make life better. So anyway, I just think it's a big thing. Like I said, he had sent me, he goes, can you mention this? But he just kind of did it flippantly, and then I think Dr. Molly had mentioned it as well. And I go, okay, both of them have mentioned it. Let me go find out about this. And then I found out how big a deal it was. So this is why I'm kind of going on and on about this. But we'll talk more about it when we bring him up to have a philosophical moment with us later in the show. Anyway, let's start the show off by having the Vice President of the International Academy, Dr. Maja, with a welcoming video that she had sent. So let me just share my screen for a second. Technology this morning is challenging. Bear with me, guys. Okay, shared screen. Is this not working? Can you guys all see?
Yeah, sure. We see that. We see her.
Yep, we can see.
We see it all right.
Yeah. Maja, Herman, Sekulic, Vice President of our dear Academy, hailing from Belgrade, where the 60th meetings, the international meeting of writers from all over the world is over. Unfortunately, Dr. Janai Lanan was not present, although his presence was felt everywhere, and he was the most awaited and most honored guest, even in his absence. And finally, his name as the only foreign poet was engraved in the Poet's Rock in the heart of the land of Serbia. So he is here forever. And now the 66th International Book Fair is going on, still have many guests from all over the world, and France is the host this year, and I have many friends here visiting. And of course, my dear Janai would be also probably reading at this big, really big international book fair. but it will happen sometime soon, I hope. Now I just want to welcome all the guests for the Poetic Recital. First of all, Parneet and my very dear friend Bhagirath Choudhary, and the rest that I know, Kiran and Harinder, and of course the Rolly Yam, the host. So next time I will join you, I hope. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful message. And thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I guess she just reiterated what I just said. The how big a deal this honor that was bestowed on you, Dr. Janelle. And yeah, because I was going to mention that because in the write-up where I cut and paste the information that I'm going to read later, it mentioned having your name permanently in the Poetry Rock, and that's there for life, beyond your life, my life, all lives. It's there as long as that rock exists. So I just think it's pretty cool. Anyway.
And James,
yes.
and, I have to say something here.
Yes, please.
We Indians have a pilgrimage center in heart of Serbia with name of Dr. Janelle Singh carved on the rock. So we have a new pilgrimage center for all the poets from India. And congratulations to Dr. Janelle Singh for that.
Thank you.
And I agree with you, and I agree with Maya Herman for that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're most
Go ahead.
welcome. You're most welcome.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. I mean, please feel free to share those kind of little tidbits, because those are things that I wouldn't know, and maybe I'll buzz you through Facebook and we'll talk more about it, because Dr. Molly and I were talking. We definitely want to do something special for Dr. Janelle because of this honor. It's not something that happens every day. It is something that happens because of a lifetime of work, lifetime of achievement. It is something that happens because his colleagues and peers recognize his importance in what his contributions have been to literature, not just poetry, to literature, to and I'm even sure to some degree his teaching over years as being a professor. So yeah, it's not something that I think, like I said, I'm not one that I'm not into celebrity worshiping and saying one person is better than another. But I think when your deeds, again, going back to the conversation we had earlier, ethics is already built into us. And when you see people living that way, demonstrating that, I think it's something we should celebrate. And that's all we're doing. We're celebrating a man that we greatly respect and others respect. So speaking of that, let's dive into this, because we have two amazing poets today that we are spotlighting. And the reason behind this recital, like I said, was to highlight the poets that exist within the International Academy of Ethics. When I first joined, I really had no idea what Dr. Molly was dragging me into when she suggested to Dr. Janelle I should be a part of this. And then from the conversations Dr. Janelle and I had, I'm like scratching my head. How do I belong in this? I'm coming to hang out with a bunch of academia stars and people with serious designation behind their name. But very quickly, from our conversations with him, I saw how he was just looking to bring people together to help make our humanity better. And I'm down with that. So, and I just, from the conversations in the Facebook chat window, I started to realize how many poets existed in the Academy. And I'm already an organizer. I already have an Inspired Poetry Corner recital that I do every month. I've already highlighted Dr. Molly before. So I know the importance of not just writing poetry, but of reciting it, of sharing it. So when I brought the idea to him, it was a no-brainer. And this is how this recital came about. And Dr. Molly and Dr. Janelle and I sat down and kind of crafted out. Well, they allowed me to craft it out. I sent it to them. They gave the thumbs up, and here it is. It's a very simple format, but it's a format of highlighting our brilliance. And it's a format of highlighting selected people to let them shine for a moment, and for us to show our gratitude to them for what they do. And this show will happen every other month. So the next one will be in December, and it'll be the same thing. We will pick 2 poets that we will spotlight, and then we'll have probably 8 others that we will invite as guests to recite. So just a quick, our spotlight poets have 15 minutes to recite their pieces, give or take. If you go a little bit longer, I don't have a problem with that, but you're not going to be reciting for half an hour. So 15 minutes. And then I will ask both of the spotlight poets 3 questions that you will answer. Nothing heavy, but I also think it's important to try to get to know us in different ways on a more personal level. And then after that, we will have the guest poets do their thing, where they'll have up to 5 minutes to recite their poetry. And then after that, I will invite Dr. Janil to what I'm calling a moment of philosophy, where he, as a philosopher, can just share whatever thoughts he wants to share with us of the day, followed by Dr. Molly doing the blessings of gratitude, and then that'll be it. So we're in this. Are you guys feeling good? Do you have your beverage of choice? Because I'm always drinking water. All my other phones and things are turned off. So let's get into this. All right. Our first spotlight poet, Bhagirath Choudhary. Is that correct? Choudhary.
That's
okay.
right. Good.
I'm trying. I'll get better by the end. So.
Bhagirath Choudhary.
No problem.
All right. He's an internationally acknowledged poet, writer, social activist, humanist. He's a global activist on the responsibility of parenthood and earth citizenship, world peace, an environmental activist that's based in New Delhi, India. He is the founder of the Global Literary Society with over 15,000 members, urging poetic world fraternity to create a global wave of positive literature for building a planetary ecosystem of perpetual peace, progress, and prosperity for one and all. He is the recipient of an honorary doctorate in literature from the Institute of the European Roma Studies and research into crimes against humanity and international law. Okay. Excuse me, the Republic of Serbia, laureate the Poet Award by Indo Universe Voice of Poetry 2020, International Peace and Human Rights Ambassador awarded by the World Literary Forum for Peace and Human Rights. I think you're getting a theme here. This man is committed to uplifting our human consciousness and to making life better for each and every of its citizens, not just of a country, of the planet. His poetry is well recognized. He's participated and been authored in many things. I think it's important that I read some of that, but I think it's more important that we put our hands together as we welcome this brilliant scholar, but brilliant humanitarian, Mr. Choudhary. The floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, James, and thanks, everybody. Good evening and good morning, James, and warm greetings from New Delhi. I'm very grateful to our kind host, Mr. James, Chair Dr. Janil Singh Anand, Vice President Dr. Maja Herman, and team of International Academy of Ethics for their kind invitation to recite my poems. The title of my first poem is The Sacred Human Heart. The human heart manifests upon earth the heavenly art, showing how to love unconditionally, reaching out to feed all the trillion cells of my body so happily. Human heart shows how to give unconditionally to life breath to every one of my 50 trillion plus body cells. The evolutionary wisdom art, so kind and smart, without a sleepy wink, wrote with loving ink, golden book of sacred human heart, keeping company of the sacred verse written in the human heart, so infinitely loving, one of its kind in the great universe. The sacred human heart embodying the divine art for lovingly beating and blessing everyone and all upon earth, whether a foe or a pawn. The second one is embodied ethics. Man needs no fancy creeds, embodied within a man, wisdom so kind and sane, having all the ethical wisdom seeds for his existential needs. The mirror neuron system within builds the foundation for deep empathetic compassion, enabling every man to feel within himself the pain of his fellow human being. Written all over man's body temple, the ethical preamble asking men and women, know thyself, like the epithet carved at Delphi's Greek temple. Knowing that a man brings to earth no horns, no thorns, no claws, no canines, and no poisonous fangs, and no spines. A man comes to earth without tools of offense. Indeed, a man comes here like an apostle of non-violence. The next poem, Cosmic Human Nation.
Before you start, sir, can I
Judging-
ask you, can you, someone's mentioning they're having a hard time challenging hearing you. Can you move closer to your mic or turn up your mic a bit? Yeah,
Maybe.
just
Just
that
a
we
second.
yeah, don't want to miss your words, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the cosmic human nation is my third point. Doesn't matter how much material wealth I gather and how many material comforts surround me, more I indulge, more it belots me, making me bulge with egoistic pride, killing my humanity by the dagger of sadistic vanity. Doesn't matter how much external information and knowledge I gather, without knowing myself, it all ends up in never-ending illusion. Too much knowledge and worldly information fires my sadistic ego, making my narcissistic pride puff with self-deceptive bluff. Without knowing myself and my humanity, without knowing my inner human being, I will always suffer from inhuman sadism and sadistic vanity. Without knowing my trillion plus cellular cooperative ism embedded in my united human organism, I will always suffer from my divided humanity and mental schism. Knowing that I'm a united cosmic nation made of trillion plus cellular cooperation, if I believe in egoistic separation, denying the fact of cosmic cooperation, I will always suffer from mental illusion. Verily, not competition. It is indeed the cooperation which makes all the difference. Neither smartness nor intelligence, wisdom alone is not sufficient. Only love and light makes a man truly efficient. With mindful, loving passion, life learned its evolutionary lesson. With love and light, man becomes truly bright, seeking ultimate wisdom to build upon earth the heavenly kingdom. The next poem is The Dealers and Devils. I was happy with my flute of reed, I never ask you for a flute of silver and your golden creed. O insatiable greed, you have infested earth with your blood-sucking, parasitic corporate breed. O unclean seed of sin, how much more you want to stuff human skulls and skeletons in your coffers and your bottomless bin. O greedy corporate parasite, you swindled away my food and water. You polluted my air. Yet you make me pay for what was my legitimate earthly share. Indeed, you destroyed a lot, not only my sweet earth home, but with your fake news. With your fake news, you defiled all my bodily sinews, planting in every human mind terrible despair and distraught. You even polluted global human thought. Yes, I raised no alarm about your untold harm. Like a moon crescent, I was meek and patient, awaiting humanitarian full moon, praying for you that you will change soon. Yes, you didn't protest. Yes, I didn't protest about your sinful incest, never told you in your face that you are a planetary paste, blinded by your inhuman greed and profit, like a damned beast of bottomless pit, marketing your weapons of mass destruction without any human care and concern. You create wars for killing my earthly brethren. In the name of love and liberty, you raised armies of my poverty. For your glory and sadistic vanity, you made business out of my humanity. Enough is truly enough. Spare my children from your media bluff, your fake news and agenda setting theories. Make me deeply sad with chronic worries, destroying next generation with mental pollution. Your media is a weapon of mass destruction. The next is love evolves. When love reflects upon itself, it expands and evolves its own self. Human love for family evolves to include greater human earth family. Human love for brothers and sisters evolves and grows its circle of compassion, embracing with greater care and good for universal brotherhood. Let my heart and my mind evolve and expand into a cosmic earthship's art like the legendary Holy Noah's Ark. Let my being bring and become all as myself, and brother wolf, sun, stars, and moon, granting the holy boon. All the sentient beings, the birds, my sisters, the animals, my brothers, all as my family members. A greater love encompassing my very own being's axis, like the Italian native of Assisi, the Holy Father Francis. The next is art of divine poetry. Poetic imagination praises beauty of creation, giving words and voice to every human nation. Poets feel the pulse by his poetic impulse. Bard's heart resonates with loving sonnets. Loving poetic spell, when rises well, the ordinary mortal becomes divine poetry's portal. With sacred poetic passions, poets dress up the naked nations. Bards like mystic machines build temples of human civilizations. Poetry transforms the next. When human mind, forsaking its pride, steps aside, then heart's sweet longings fly high, far, and wide, transforming ordinary expression into extraordinary poetic creation. Welling up in his heart, flowing out like a poetic art, gently and softly, without a shout, revealing silently the sacred beauty of thought and word, of loving cosmic bard without any territorial guard. Humanity flows freely through his poetic passion with love and compassion, transcending every kind of separation, dismantling every restraining wall. Poet reaches out to one and all. The next poem is dedicated to the modern times stage wars through media manipulations, Battle of Beasts. The title is Battle of Beasts. It took life millions of years to process our beast into a human priest. To give us the word, the life worked hard for thousands of years, making human tongue into a holy cosmic bard. Look now, what are we doing to our heavenly earth and our loving Mother Earth? Our jealousy and our heresy, our saddest vanity, eating away our humanity. We kill our brothers, we violate our sisters. With our hatred and violence, we have made ourselves into an earthly sinister. We stage war games to take advantage of religious names. With our bombs, we turn Mother Earth into devilish storms. Our inhuman terrorist hands destroy every day life and lands. Our devil's bands and his beast rallies to demolish love and beauty that was created by loving human hearts and hands. The next poem is dedicated to recent victim of racism, George Floyd, whose last words were, "Please let me breathe." The racism, earth is ever afflicted, cruel wounds inflicted by racist indignity and haughty human insanity. The terrible arrogance and the dark ignorance, racism creates violence without human conscience. God made man in his own image. Man must behave like a kindly, wise sage. The scourge of racism stands against humanism, manhandling human dignity. It even defies godly creation's divinity. Science sage, with evidential emphasis, man must learn from DNA analysis, which declares with ample reasons that all men are distant cousins. Drop your racism and your naked fascism to let humanity and let everyone breathe. Now, this poem is dedicated to the African tribe called Ubuntu. Ubuntu, I am because we are, and my dear you, says Ubuntu. I came all innocent, without past lament, as a moon crescent. I came with creative courage to light up earth, her days and her nights with joy and mirth. I came to share all the heavenly wear. How could I be happy when all others, my sisters and brothers, trading hungry and sad? Did I come to compete with others, my sisters and brothers, denying them without shame Mother Earth's wear, coveting their legitimate share? I'm a cosmic cooperative. I'm a collective cosmic narrative, born of evolutionary hope and charity. Oh, Ubuntu, let me discover anew my humanity. Now, the last poem is dedicated to the flower children of 60s, the global hippie awakening. and the title is A Flower Child. He says, I lived like a global native with all loving motive, in a mode with love of humanity, traveling ever to meet human and kind community, traveling light, keeping only love in sight. I embraced my humble poverty. I ignored the material property. For the bargain of my heart, I let go wealth and its art. I settled nowhere, raising no boundary wall, and to call the land, the river, and the air as my very own share. I moved on like a wind, carrying the fragrance from the flower and its sacred essence to the distant civilizations upon earth, spreading human worth of heavenly earth. Now, the landowners and the miners of wealth and jewels tell me you lived like a hippie. Sorry, it is too late to accommodate. They said to raise our material worth, we have divided all the earth, its forests, its rivers, and its heavenly earth, laden with their gold, so very bold, they told, by spiritual wisdom, you may be tall, but without material wealth, you are a lost soul, Paul. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thanks.
Oh,
Thanks.
that was brilliant, Mr. Shahari.
Now,
That was brilliant. I
ready
so
for your
identify with
question.
I so identify with your words and the way you structure your poems. And like I said earlier in the introduction, like you're a true humanitarian, but your true desire is to uplift our human consciousness, to be human. I think you were saying earlier in the conversation, we're not fully human yet, or we're not human yet. So I'm going to ask you three questions and try to keep them, relatively short, but at the same time, I want you to answer how you want.
To listen properly.
And this question ties into, when we were having the conversations before we came on and recorded, we're talking about poets and what we think the role of poets are. So I'm going to ask you that question because I kind of liked your answer when you were saying it. What do you think is the role of a poet in today's society? In this day and age with all the, with social media and, the misinformation or disinformation, people not trusting, traditional news, whatever it is. And there's so much information today. What do you think the role of a poet is today in our society?
I think the role of the poet is to share his humanity with everyone and with every word he writes. And I believe that every poet should take responsibility what they write, because we have the singularity of the word. We have the big chaos, information chaos around. So we need to have more of positive literature. What I mean by positive literature, that if we highlight those ethics, those attributes, mental attributes, as well as the social attributes, which are more with the circle of compassion. What I mean by circle of compassion is like the hatred, doubt, fear, anxiety. All those have very small circle of compassion. Like you are prisoner of your own selfishness, your own little circle of compassion. But when you start loving, when you start expanding yourself as a poet, you start loving everyone. You extend and expand your circle of compassion from, like my poem I was talking, from your family to your neighborhood, then to your community, then to the nation, then to the globe. And as we had the tradition, James, to tell you, of Vasudev Kutumbakam. And we, in the Upanishad, it says so beautifully, I would like to share here, that the Rishi says, the wise man says in Upanishad, he says in Mahayana Upanishad, Mahopanishad, the small-minded think this is my family and that is my family. But the magnanimous say the whole earth is my family. And that is the message of the poet, that we must spread it out. And even the science, like I was talking about the DNA analysis, we all are distant cousins.
Yeah.
Maybe we look different. Maybe we are different or diversity, to celebrate the great celebration of diversity on earth. But that's our privilege. That's the beauty. And that's our richness, that's our wealth. So the poet has to celebrate the diversity, but for the unity of humanity as one family, one global family. So the poet has to, as I said in my poem, that he dresses up the naked nations, the naked humanity. He will give the great robes of humanity, the robes of love and compassion. So a poet has a big job today than before, because we have so much trouble. We have so much bad information, fake news, and such inhuman happenings. I don't know. I've never seen, or I don't know whether somebody has seen the Holocaust. I'm sorry to mention this. But that time, maybe I didn't see. But today I see the genocide on my TV. Every day I see it's happening, whether it's in Ukraine or it's on Gaza or it's in Azerbaijan or anywhere. And I see it happening. And we, humanity, has to say, you cannot do it to us. We have to tell our leaders, non-cooperation. We have to stop cooperating with them and say, sorry, enough is enough. We cannot take it. So the poets have to come out and educate people for kind of activism we need today. I'm not talking about political activism. I'm talking about the, with patient, like Gandhi's way of non-cooperation and non-violence. We are a big strength. We can make the changes. So second, this is all I know about.
That's all good. It's all good.
Points.
And I agree. I think it's not, we need to recognize our own power and stop waiting for politicians to do anything. We have to
take our power back. We have to take our power back.
Yep, I agree. So a man that's traveled and done so much you've done, what's your favorite sound? What sound do you love hearing the most?
My favorite sounds is the bird songs.
And
in Delhi, they said the house sparrows will be extinct because of the radiation from the mobile towers. And of course they did, really. But I'm so fortunate. In my house, in my place, I have big Madhumalti. That's a wine which has two colors of flowers. In the evening, in the night, it has white flowers. And in the daytime, it will be pink and red. And I look at it like peace in the night and love in the day. And I have so many house sparrows. I belong to a farmer's family. So I bring millets and we feed them. And they live on this big vine, which has covered my two houses. And they all live in there. So I have many of them, and they wake up very early, around 4 o'clock. My practice is 4 o'clock.
Okay.
I wake up 4 o'clock. I have to start working at 4. So I meditate and they sing for me.
Nice.
So the best sound is this. And the second sound, which I really love, is when a person speaks with care and with love. When a person shares the love bites, love sounds, the sounds of humanity inside,
Mhm.
that soothes my ear and my heart.
Ah.
Rest of the sounds which I love is in jungle, a mountain stream,
Mm.
making beautiful ripples and beautiful sounds and beautiful music of nature. So that's three sounds I love most.
Thank you for showing us your heart. You know what I loved about asking you that question? I loved your answer. But once you heard me, I don't know how many of you saw the expression on his face, and his face just lit up. So that was actually, I loved everything you said, but that was my favorite part of the answer to that question. The last question I'll ask you before we say thank you to you and your beautiful recital. If God exists, and when you show up to the pearly gates, what would you want God to say to you?
I think God is here. And think, to me, the material universe is God in action. The material universe, the manifestation
Mhm.
around, for me, is God in action. So I'm with God all the time. All the time, because I'm with the universe all the time. And what I like God to tell me is that, oh, Bhagirath, be a human.
Mhm.
And I think that will be enough for me. That's the greatest blessing. I care. Thank you.
Well, my friend, I'm so glad we became Facebook friends, because you and I will have to have a few one-on-one
We'll get together
conversations.
someday.
Definitely,
We'll get together.
definitely,
Dr.
definitely.
Janelle Singh is inviting everyone.
Well, we'll
For
definitely
this
do
party.
that. But until then, I embrace
Yeah.
conversations, and we'll definitely connect.
We'll be having a big party for
Definitely.
his
We'll celebrate
Serbian.
humanity and poetry together, and life.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
I'm going
you.
to ask the Academy to unmute and show your appreciation. I just want to say thank you so much to our honorable friend, Mr. Choudhary. Mr. Thank you for
everyone.
your words. Thank you
Thank
for your thoughtfulness. Thank you for just showing us your heart and your humanity. So I invite the Academy, please unmute for a second, and just with applause and claps and whoop it up, and give this man some due, because that was a beautiful reading, and I just loved your answer.
It was amazing, wonderful. It was Choudhary ji, and you are a great, great human being.
Mhm.
We all salute you.
Bhagirath ji, I would like to say, you were talking about we are different, right? We are little bit different from each other. So my
Yes, sir.
quote is, difference makes no difference.
Thank you.
Difference makes
Thank
no
you. Yeah, we needed your touch.
I'm writing that down, Dr. Janelle.
That Janopia touch. We needed.
Difference
Thank
makes
you, sir.
no difference. That's just brilliant. Brilliant. That's so true, though. Yeah, I am not one of these people that believe we're different. You even said it, I think, in one of when you're talking, we may look different. Our shading may be different, but we all have two eyes, nose, ears. Yeah.
Before I go away, James, I need to say the difference I see is the uniqueness of every human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the difference is universal celebration of everyone's uniqueness.
Yes.
We all are unique. That's why I don't believe in competition, because there is no competition.
I don't do.
So I just want.
There is a competition.
I just wanted to say, Bhagirath sir, so wonderful listening to you as ever. And it's such a learning experience, such an enriching experience, every time we listen to you. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful poetry and your thoughts with us.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, the world needs to hear poets like you. And this is one of the reasons we do this. We're just doing our small little part to fulfill your mandate of lifting our human consciousness. So I thank you. Yes. Thank you for your wisdom. Yep. Thank you for your wisdom, your love, your compassion. Thank you for your openness and just being here today to share with us. So thank you so much. I look forward to, like I said, I look forward to definitely spending time with you and getting to know you on a personal level. So anyway, this is how we roll. That's our first spotlight poet of the evening, of the day for me, because I'm in Toronto, Canada. It's still morning for me. I know for most of you, it's already in the evening, but we'll keep going. So our second spotlight poet. Now, this is a woman that I first came into contact through, I think one of the first Academy talks a few months ago now. So Dr. Parneet Jaggi, I hope I'm saying your last name correctly. I'm just pulling up your profile because I couldn't cut and paste it into my documents. So I have to read it. Okay. Dr. Jaggi is a professor of English. Oops, before I continue, can you guys unmute? Can you guys unmute again, please?
Hello.
If you can just mute yourselves, well, not unmute, mute yourselves, or I'll mute you for you, just so we make sure that we're respectful to everyone's time. Okay. Dr. Jaggi is a professor of English at Dr. D.R. America Government College, American, I believe. She's a poet, an editor, a critic, and a novelist. She has 5 collections of poems that has been published. Just to name a couple: Show Me How to Grow, Live, Love, Light, and the Euphoric of Hearts and Soul. I believe that's 1 or 2, I'm not sure. Her research books, The Ineluctable Indianness, Matthew Arnold, and the Bhagavad Gita. It's a study of her poems and social and economic values in the teachings of Sikh gurus, reveals her love for Indian culture, religion, and philosophy. She's also co-edited 5 other books. She is an established writer, recognized globally. The book received the Azad International Award for Historical Fiction in 2021, Golden Book of the Year Award for Historical Fiction in 2022, and the list goes on and on. She has appeared in the Directory of Writers in America's Magazine Poets and Writers. She was declared the Poet of the Year in 2019 and the Critic of the Year in 2019 by Destiny Poets. This woman is well established, not just as a serious academic, but as a poet, as a champion for literature. And like I said, a fantastic host, because that's how I came into contact with her, watching her master a panel of academics and asking questions and keeping things on task. So you two are another person I would really like to get to know. But until that time, I invite the Academy to put your hands together for Dr. Jaggi. The mic is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning to the other part of the world. Well, I feel extremely privileged and humbled to have got this platform to express myself as a poet. My heartfelt thanks to Mr. Rolly James, the host of this poetic recital, Dr. J.S. Anand, chair of this session and president, International Academy of Ethics, who's made us immensely proud with his poetic output and the recognition he has achieved. So all kudos to him. Dr. Maja, Vice President, International Academy of Ethics, Dr. Molly Joseph, coordinator, Shri Bhagirath Choudhary sir, whom we've all heard just now, and all my other fellow participants, and also members of the audience. I hope I'm audible well. Yeah, thanks. So while we gather repeatedly to deliberate on the ethical universe, and we hear diverse viewpoints and suggestions to rebuild an ethical space for all, my take on this is that in a world that often seems consumed by the superficial and the fleeting, the pursuit of truth remains an eternal journey, a captivating journey, in fact. In this context, my vision, like Bhagirath sir and like all of you pursue that, my vision goes to just one remedy, if possible, just one answer for all the ethical predicaments, and that is love. Love can only foster compassion, empathy, justice, altruism, selflessness, forgiveness, reconciliation, and whatever ethical stances or ethical points we want to pick up and we want to instill in the generation. So while it is my time to recite poetry, I will recite a few poems that inadvertently enlist the stages through which we all, as ordinary humans, pass on our journey from the ethical to the unethical till we realize that, oh, things have gone unethical and we need to correct it. This is a very subtle observation, a contemplative effort from my part to trace the journey from the ethical to the unethical. We are not born unethical. It is how we make ourselves unethical. It is a very subtle evolution of our being. And I think it all begins with the inflation of our egos in the very first place. So the first poem I'm going to recite here is entitled My Sky, My Universe. Here it goes. The straight white dotted line in the sky reminds of the tickle I had in my stomach when, as a child, I questioned myself how an airplane could fly without falling down, how the galaxies would move without a tremor. Universe lies in our wax expressions, Aristotle reminded us. So each morning, I refill my wax candles with pride and greed till they spill over, spoil the table mats that adorn my study table. Each evening, the galaxy stickers on the ceiling glow with the fumes of my ego, burning bright, rising high. The stars and moons I bought at a discount make my sky and my universe. I love to quiz myself with the wonders, take short flights and come down to bed for a short, sweet siesta. So this was I and my world, where I don't let anyone in. I have made the whole universe my own self, and the story is only about I, me, and myself. This is the evolution of my ego. This was the first poem. The second poem is when I find monotony in everything around me, and there is a desire for a variety that leads me to design my own things, intruding in the designs of the nature, in the divine design. When I want to do different things and I want to get variety for me, I want to have various moods, diverse things for myself, and I become too greedy in that sense. So the title of the next poem is Monotony. I had one mother all my life. Was it monotony? Breaths that trouble my lungs, contracting, expanding, looked like the same blade of grass, whether trampled inside the boundary of the park or outside. The huge umbrella that bulwarks me from the ultraviolet messages of the golden ball stands enduringly for countless fractions of time. Here the image is that of the sun. Is that monotony? I carry the same limbs, dressed in the attires of modified shapes, shades, sizes, trying never to look simple. The fear of monotony? I challenge my little abdomen with a gallimaufry of eatables, caressing it, admonishing it, whichever way it would move out of slumber. Is that the fear of monotony? I was born in the same old traditional way that kills the fun of loving, truly. So I am out on a venture, trying to find an innovative way to die, to kill the monotony. So this was about monotony. Most of us are doing unethical tasks and works because we are bored of something and we want to have a variety of things around us. So even the sun looks monotonous, even our mother looks monotonous, even the food we eat needs to be changed every day. So this leads to a lot of chaos in the mind when we term it monotony. Everything that is happening as a rhythm of nature and rhythm of life is termed as monotony. That takes to negative results. The third poem is about the new kind of love that has been processed by the so-called modern world to fit into its taste and design. We know the connotations of love has changed these days, and that is why leading to the less qualitative lust, hunger, attachment, which is not love in any sense of the word. So the poem is The New Love. Where is Mahival's love that doesn't drown in flooded waters, flooded rivers? Where is Somni's passion? Somni and Mahival are the immortal lovers of the Indian soil who drowned in waters and sacrificed their lives because of true love. So where is Mahival's love that doesn't drown in flooded waters? Where is Soni's passion that doesn't tire of waiting for days and months, unyielding, unquestioning, love through the waters? Where is Mira's love, the unfaltering singular love that doesn't flinch? Mira was a devotional singer, poetess, lover of Lord Krishna. And she had that singular emotion attached to Lord Krishna. And she faced everything in the world for that. So it was unflinching love. Where is Mira's love, the unfaltering, singular love that doesn't flinch? The eternalized love is now, very much in time, flies away with rains and pains, no matter how we lay down our life. The tech-savvy love works well only when batteries are full, conditions apply, and determine the duration and intensity. Today, love has its expiry too. So after this sensation of love, we get over this specific age where we are into attachments and these secret affairs, and then we do not really understand love. Then comes the stage when I'm completely in tune with the so-called modern age, where nothing else matters, not even love, but only success. There is nothing as ethical or unethical, the key words for a modern man, leading from ethical to unethical. The key words are I and success. So the only things that should remain in my life are I and my success. So the poem is entitled, I Did It All. I lit the hands I had held when I was one-handed. They were now shriveled, decrepit. These are the parents I had held. I left the hands I had held when I was one-handed, but they were now shriveled, decrepit. I kicked the puppy that licked my jewel-adorned gumshoes that would take me across snows and storms. I filled my elongated pockets with diamonds that could resell, get me innumerable smiles, flipping the colored crayons that filled my scrapbook. I called a long forgotten lazy friend to remind her of her flaws. She didn't take my call. I sent a metaphoric poem of 40 lines digesting my enveloped anger. I threw a 5 rupee coin at a one-legged beggar from a distance at a feet, from a distance of 3 feet, because people say deities take note of all this. I did not trouble the laborers. Laborers toiling in the sun with bruised hands. I only checked my own pockets for a leakage. I lived my life in the valley of truth, where good or bad did not exist. What I did was perfect. It served me tea with sweet biscuits. I had heard, I had read of ethics as a child. I had heard fakirs singing in the streets. Then I got the best education. So I left the modest babbling rivers of ethics to swim in the vast oceans of success. I did it all. I did it all well. So the above poems illustrated a short journey from our being ethical to becoming unethical. It is how we are born natural, but over a period of time, we are shrouded by these prejudices that Dr. Bhagirath also talked, and Trolley also said that we are no more the citizen of the world, but as Oliver Goldsmith said, because of the national prejudices, we take up the garbs. So these poems illustrated as to how we take up the garbs of education or false love to become unethical. Now, when at a certain stage of life, we become mindful and sensitive about what is happening around us, with us, so there is a sense of responsibility which dawns on us, and we want to jump to action. Poets are already sensitive, but being an ordinary human being, if we look at it from a general perspective, at a certain age, at a certain stage, or due to a certain setback in life, this sense of responsibility of being ethical again dawns us. So the following poem, the upcoming poem, then looks into that reawakening of the sensitive human. When youth, passion, and greed guide us, we tend to lose the hands of wisdom, ethics, and religion. But at some later, ripe stage in life, at some point of reawakening, there is a renaissance happening inside us. We search those lost bits of wisdom once again. So this poem is about the revival of that wisdom that we all yearn to get back. The poem is entitled The Page I Tore. This is also the title poem of the recent collection, poetry collection. The Page I Tore. While the teenage footed with a rampage, I was reading a book of wisdom. Teenage, we all know, is full of the hormonal chaos and the hustle and bustle in the mind of the youth. So while the teenage footed with a rampage, I was reading a book of wisdom. Name I don't remember. It had a green cover. It talked of disparate attires, pastiche of unknown sources, potpourri of mystifying aromas, a medley of native tunes metered into a partal. Partal is a specific beat, a mixture of beat. Tales of old grandmas who would blend the grace of their grey hair into murmurs. It had an advice for the runners to win and lose in a way Lord Ram did, to immerse and emerge in a way Guru Nanak did, to fall and rise in a way Buddha did. I tore the page into tiny, uneven strips, with grey hairs now trouncing my scalp. I'm searching those bits in my house once again. I'm searching those bits in my house once again. So this was my rediscovering myself, my ethical self once again. So I must admit, all my poetry is coming from my contemplation, since my very honorable Bhagirath Choudhary sir has talked about the things happening around the world. My poetry generally talks about the effect that has on my mind and how I tend to change myself, and the experiences inside me evolve me into something else. To conclude my poetry, I would just recite a short poem, which is going to be the title poem of my upcoming anthology, which is The Sun in My Palm. The sun in my palm. A candle, a torch, a bulb lit my room in myriad ways. Yet, mind groped in the dark for countless counts of time. Then I rubbed my hands, cleared my throat, blurred my vision to the pictures of the world. I dropped the word weapons that pierced the pallets inside my mouth, lifted my hands in prayer, and found the sun in my palm, and found the sun in my palm. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Can I ask a favor? Can you do one more?
Please command me.
Can you do one more? This is I'm asking for an encore. I love your words. I love your contemplation. I think it was in the very first poem you mentioned. You quizzing myself of my wonderment. You don't quiz yourself just about the harshness. You quiz yourself about everything, and I love that. I love that. So can you share one more? One more.
Yeah, sure. Uh, since I'm writing mostly about what is happening inside me, because I think what reflects outside is how I envision it and how I perceive it. So, generally, when I talk about the positives or the negatives that are happening around the world, I feel there is only one answer to anything and everything. Because perhaps we were thrown down to earth to spread something of this sort. But then we have had a journey of being from ethical to unethical. Fine. But whenever I'm asked, how do you define your evolution? So I just say, don't ask me anything. Just let things come out of me. So there's a poem I just spent a few minutes before entering the session here. I said, if somebody asks what is love, because you're repeatedly saying what is love, use love, it's love, it's love, it's love, because everything is going to come out of love. Empathy is coming out of love, compassion, unity, fraternity, justice. It's all going to come out of love. So if somebody asks me what is love, can you answer it, Parneet? So I said, no, I'm going to pen a poem. So the poem is, what is love? They ask me. I
Oh, my friend, you're
gulps me all over. I feel wish, for I shall be speechless most of the time. Elate or efface me with your judgments. You may still not get your answers. Keep asking, what is love? What is love? But my world goes beyond words. My world will go beyond words. So that was it.
Dr. Jaggi.
I think not everything can be said, but you have to emanate or radiate something from within, so that like we had a beautiful smile by Bhagirath Ji, and
Can I, Dr. Jaggi, I don't know, it's funny, throughout the whole recital, you were fine. And then at the very last poem, you started to get very glitchy. So you seem fine right now. Can you read the last poem again, please?
what is love?
Yes, yes. Because we missed the first part of it.
Okay. What is love? They ask me. This is the title. So whenever somebody asks me, this is how I feel. I feel like an ant carrying the sky that engulfs me all over. I fail to frame an ornamental love story that the world will relish. Shove me beneath the bed of the ocean if you wish, for I shall be speechless most of the time. Elate or efface me with your judgments. You may not still get your answers. Keep asking me, what is love? What is love? But my world goes beyond the words. My world goes beyond words. Thank you.
That's a brilliant piece. That's a brilliant. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
That's why one of the best answers I've heard about what is love. I love you. I love your writing as well. Yeah, it just makes you think, and it makes you really want to be stepping and be introspective, because I do believe it starts from the inside out. Too many people are looking from the outside in, and it has to come from the inside out. And the world is just a reflection of what we hold within us. So, to our learned friend from before, you know, ethics is not something that we learn. We're born with it, and we'll learn what's really inside of us. So, as an educator, because your poetry is one thing, but education, just from reading your bio, and Dr. Franca, I believe a colleague of yours, just shared more of your bio. I think you need to update your bio because you've done some amazing things. So, as an educator, though, we keep hearing how education is important to change, and we need to educate more, and we need to educate. And we've been educating for centuries. But when you hear people say that we need more education, what does that really mean? What do you think they're really saying that we're not doing, that we've been doing for a long time, that doesn't seem to be producing the results we want? So from an education standpoint, what does that mean? We need to educate more.
Yeah, I think if you look at the present scenario, we are dressing up the child continuously throughout his life to let him undress himself at the later stage of his life. He's born naked. We are dressing up the child with whatever, with attires, with ornaments, with education. We are dressing him up. We are dressing him up, making him ornamental. And towards once there comes one stage when he is again undressing himself. You know, we are going from natural to unnatural. For me, education was knowing the nature, knowing the universe, and through that knowledge, knowing yourself. When you know yourself, you know the world, and vice versa. See, the ancient seers, they never looked at these little tidbits and the weaknesses of man, weaknesses of nature. They used to poke into, they used to peep into the mysteries of nature, and they naturally they used to get into the mysteries of the human body, the human mind, the human soul, or whatever they wanted to. What we are doing is we are piling up the human being with unwanted, uncounted information just to load him up. And at the end of, at a certain stage, by the end of 30s or 40s, once he is settled in a worldly way, he wants to undress himself. If you see people in their 50s and 60s, they want to run away from everything. And this is exactly what we are doing right now. We are trying to run away from our worlds and settle down in one poetic recital. It's like a world away from the world. So I think the modern education is dressing up forcibly every human being in a way he doesn't want. Nobody is asking you, do you like this? Do you like this information? Nobody is asking you, you want to sing, you want to dance, you want to play with nature, or you just want to remember the facts. Which is a very generalized yet biased kind of education. I find it very faulty. Although I'm a part of the system and I'm also teaching, but I find it very faulty. I miss that sparkle in the eyes of the students.
Yes.
And when we just talk over with the students about life, about laughter, about happiness, about being friends, they are much happier. So they don't need that forcible information right now. Google is there for all information. We need to stop imposing education on our children. They are loaded. They are loaded, and because of that, again, they are tired and fatigued. And this monotony, one of my poems was monotony. And in that, I have, I admit that I have even committed a mistake of saying that is the mother also monotonous. You have one mother all your life. People are not respecting their mothers these days because they're loaded with unwanted information and data. So we need to stop imposing education in this sense.
Yeah. It's a brilliant answer. I don't think I've ever heard an educator say that, and it kind of ties into, it's funny that this past Friday, my niece came home from school. And I go, "How was school?" And she goes, "It's so boring." I go, "What's boring about it?" She goes, "It's just boring. I feel like everything is being forced on us," and it's kind of reiterating what you just said. So, and we're not teaching them the things that makes them. Go ahead. Yes. You go ahead. There's a bit of a delay on the.
Monotony is killing them.
Okay, you speak. There's a delay on the line, so.
I think we need to change our attitudes towards how to bring up children. See, we had a very brilliant question in the beginning, which you asked Bhagirath sir, that what is your role as a poet?
Mm-hmm.
I would certainly like to answer that question, that what are we doing as poets? I think the first role that we can play is the role of a parent poet. A poet can be a parent at all places at all times. How is that possible? A parent is always a guiding light. He's a light. And a light can be spread to as many places as possible. When you stand on the street, any number of children can be your children. You can be a parent, you can guide any amount of masses you have within your reach. You can show direction to the masses. Number one. Now, suppose the children do not listen to you, as is happening in these days. So you may not be able to play the role of a parent. In that case, you can be a rose flower. At least if somebody is not listening to you, or if somebody is not giving you the due place, you can be a flower. You can emanate that radiance, the beauty, the redness, and the aroma. That aroma is definitely going to do its job. No garden, no visitor of the garden can escape the aroma that a poet has. So the poet can have multiple roles. A guiding light as a parent, he can rear children, he can guide the society, he can lay rules, he can himself break the rules for the welfare of the society. If there are children who are listening to him, but if they don't listen to him, it's okay. Still, the poet has a role to spread the radiance, to spread the red color, and become a role model that look at me. I am also surviving in this world which you call as unethical. I'm also trying to live up to the humanity which is lying inside me. I'm also trying to save that the humane, the texture that I was blessed with. So if I can do it, why can't you? So being role model itself is a massive role which we cannot escape. One or two or 10 or hundreds of thousands, any number of people may follow you, even if now nobody follows you. I think being a rose in the garden is good enough. It has its own radiance, it has its own beauty, but yes, we are short-lived. We are short-lived. So leaving that aroma and that radiance of the garden is a pretty good task, which I think we can justify in this one lifetime as a poet.
I love what you just said when you said that being a rose in the garden is good enough. That's just, if that's all you do, that's good enough. Yeah. Well done. Well said. Well said. What is your favorite sound?
Well, sound, I am lured I am captivated and in fact ensnared by far distant sounds of the musical instruments. A flute being played somewhere in the park, a piano being played. Maybe that's practically not true, but I can imagine piano tunes being played somewhere in the background, because these inside backgrounds are not disturbed by the external voices. So generally, the instrumental music tunes, flute, piano, sitar, violin, and a few percussions also. So these are the sounds I like. I mean, they give me immense peace, and I don't feel that even if life stops right now, I'm okay.
You're okay.
I'm full.
Yeah.
So
Well, it sounds like you always got a symphony playing in your head. So
yeah, yeah,
I love that.
have that kind of an ambience around
Yeah.
me. So that's how I fulfill my life with whatever I have.
He is a music.
I love classical music. So when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of cartoons, and that's how I developed a love for classical music. So every Sunday, I still go to bed to start my week with classical music.
I have been a student of classical Indian music, and I have been I'm a gold medalist graduate also, an honors graduate.
Mm-hmm.
But since I left vocal singing, so after that I'm more attached to the percussion sounds and the violin guitar sounds, and that lures more.
All right. Last question, the same question I asked a learned friend before. If God does exist,
has its own charm.
If God does exist, when you show up to the pearly gates, what would you want God to say to you?
God should say, now come back to me. You've done your best.
Can you say that again? You kind of cut out at the beginning.
God should say, come back to me, dear daughter. You've done your best. No more to life.
No more. You were the rose in the garden.
Because going back to him is going to be the ultimate life. Gotcha. No more to these petty struggles and this and that and ethics and unethics. No, enough of it. So, thank you.
Dr. Parneet, there can be a co-question. If we send you back again, what will you do?
Okay, please wait for me. I'm coming back early again. Please wait to welcome me again.
Okay.
I'm on the right track. See, I'm not going to say.
So she did such a good job. Sorry. She did such a good job being a rose the first time. She'll get to do it again. Be the rose in the garden.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was.
It is very rare. It is very rare to find people who are in harmony with themselves.
Yeah, you're a genuine soul. You could feel your heart. And that's the beauty of what we're doing at the Academy, and that's the point of this recital. Look, people, I know it's longer than normal shows, and this is why even in my show, I invite us to sit in time together and forget about whether it's 2 or 3 hours, because I'm so enjoying getting to know people that I've seen now, but getting to know them on a better level or a different level. And it's only inspiring me to reach out to you, to want to spend time with you one-on-one. I've done it with Dr. Molly. This is how I got involved here. So I'm really fascinated with you. And I'd like to thank Dr. Frank. I believe she added some of your bio. You need to really update your bio, because you've done some amazing things, and the stuff you've done with music and all this stuff. So, and I know we don't always like talking about ourselves. I don't like talking about myself and, being humble that way. But I also think it's important, like I said, the reason we highlight poets is to highlight your achievements and what you've done. It's not so much what you've done and why you've earned this spot, but I want to know what drives you. And, you and I share a very similar. Go ahead.
My achievement is me sitting here. This is my achievement.
Yeah. Right. And I love the fact that, we're similar in thinking. It all starts from the inside out. Everything ripples out. It ripples out. So I think your poetry is amazing, but just listening to you You kind of remind me, like, you're like our learned friend, Dr. Janelle, you're philosopher as well. You have a philosopher's heart and thinking. So that excites me. I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity to spotlight you, for you sharing your poetry with us. I'd like to invite the Academy to unmute and give her some love, clap it up for her, and thank you for this brilliant recital.
Parneet, you stole our heart with your openness, your genuine, genuine original takes something. Words are coming out, poems, lines are flowing out from your heart, my dear. Loved it. Loved it.
You all motivate. Thank you so much.
Well, that was our two featured poets, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a hand again. I think we all expect the poetry, but then just getting to know them. And I invite you, if some of you that are newer to the Academy, first of all, find us on Facebook, the International Academy of Ethics.
Can I interrupt you for a while? I just want to say that was lovely, Parneet.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I just want to congratulate Parneet. I want to just tell her that her poetry is amazing and she is an amazing person too. So wonderful listening to you, Parneet.
Thank you, Harinda. Thank you. Well, you'll be reciting soon, so we'll get to hear your beautiful poetry soon.
Thank you.
But no, it's good to acknowledge each other. Like Dr. We're not in competition, right?
True.
Competition. This is why I don't do poetry competitions. For me, I just don't find them something that I want to do, because I embrace the creativity of everyone, right? And there's nothing wrong if people want to compete. Not a problem. I understand competition, but for me, when it comes to poetry, it's not something I want to do. I just want to embrace your poetry. I just want to be, it's like Dr. Jaggi said, I want to just be that flower, that rose in the garden, listening to your poetry, because that's good enough for me. Anyway, I talk too much. We all can talk too much, but that's okay. That's what makes for the show. That's what gives us the ability to learn about each other and to hear each other, to hear how we think. So now we get to the part where we've invited other poets, to be part of this recital. It's also an introduction into the Academy. The Academy is about talking about ethics, and hopefully we'll be doing projects around that, around educating around ethics and the importance of ethics. One of the things I want to do is get us to look at ethics in a different way because of our history, but we'll get into that. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Academy, please find us on Facebook at the International Academy of Ethics. There's a website on the International Academy of Ethics if you Google it, but I'll put all that information in the chat. And please, if there are people that you've seen in these squares that excite you, reach out to them. I invite you to have one-on-one conversations with them. Myself personally, if I wish I could sit down with you all in close proximity, drinking coffee and smelling each other's coffee breath and conversing and learning about each other. I want to learn and share, because it goes to my growth and it ripples out, like Dr. Jaggi said. So, all right. So moving from a spotlight poet, our very first poet that I'm inviting to come and share with us. She's a regular at the Inspired Poetry Corner. I love having her share her brilliant presentation after the feature, because it just continues the love and it puts us in a different frame of mind. So I'm going to call on my good friend from Greece, not the island, but Greece, Alexandra.
I wanted to say that to Parneet that I totally agree with her on shoving education down and syllabuses down, into the heads of our students. And this is why I try and work with the syllabus and try and have really interesting conversations and various different fun ways to introduce whatever grammar or whatever we're doing, because we need like new methods of introducing the syllabus and adding more spicy topics which interests the children. So I keep trying to do that in my lessons because I don't want the children to go home like a stone crushed their heads. Yeah, so that was, I totally agree with that. Okay, so this is Flying 17. This light is mine. It is hyperphysical, illuminating in the golden tenderness of a poetic heart, discerning and choosing amongst inherited traits of Zeusian cultivation and Cronian egoism, along the exploration of an inner dialectic synthesis, indulging and abstaining, desecrating and purging, endeavoring to optimize our emotional mindset, attempting to restore ourselves and our earth from polluting elements, our burnt terrains, our mountaintops, haloed by rose dawns and rose dusks, bridging the gap between immutable, firm ideals and capricious, shady senses. On auroral mountaintops, enslaved worms transforming into quivering, resurrected butterflies, goldwing after goldwing. This zone is mine. It is releasing, leaping in the contemplative homage of a philosophic mind, intuiting and electing amongst dynamical antinomies of clear-winged visualization and cyclopic blindness, along the mission of ideomorphed Daedalian inventions, upheaving Minoan waves bursting forth from a pyroclastic flow of Aegean DNA. Frontier warriors anxious to store our eco-formations. Our lands, our seas, our seven skies, 7 times blue. Adjusting to natural and supernatural cosmic purposes. Argo's bow breaking into a sky sea of orgone, silver wave after silver wave. This union is mine. It is aura bonding, intensifying in the fiery sovereignty of an ascetic fulfillment, filtering and selecting amongst labyrinthine channels of Persephonic magnanimity and Tartarian beastliness, along the polymorphic emeralding of each individual unfolding. Lion hearts and lion minds, emancipating from lower and middle ranking hierarchies, in joyous exemption from demons and illusions, from resistance and time. Evolved phosphoric suns activating towards the east, devolved dim spheres deactivating towards the west, delineating photodynamic and aphotic positions in dimorphic order. Sunborn, unrestrained vibrancy dawning into our caves, luminiferous ether dazzling, vivid flame after vivid flame. This truth is mine. It is envisaging, polyvibrating in the vivifying fountain of pan-human axioms, clarifying and correcting amongst antithetic consciousnesses of trained logos and untrained thumos. Along the reshaping of each new age, aspiring to rise into advanced halcyon apogees formed by prime pan-universal rearrangements. Superpositioned apotheosis, sending exalting poetico-philosophy to torchbearers. Eris's nostalgia, tuning into the eurythmic heartbeat of thriving, ascending gastric galaxies. Balancing on a symbiosis of cataclysmic and epiphanic laws of creation. Dodecahedron galaxies overflowing with humans and gods, reaching the borders of zenith beyond, after zenith beyond. This sweet flying is out. It is absolute, emblazoning in the progression of the idea, the pan-fiery great idea.
Well, if you didn't know, now you know. Now you know, Alex.
Excellent as always. Excellent as always.
I know Dr. Molly and Diane are familiar with Alexandria.
Yeah, we know her very well. So elevating your poetry is. So blessed and elevating. Thank you.
And your voice, Alexandra, it's so soothing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, that's because I'm nervous when I'm reading.
But Herinda, now you know why I put her on first, because it kind of just, it sets that mood, and it almost makes it like a group meditation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So for those of you that know Alexandra, please put your information in the chat. For those that are, if this is your first exposure to her, this is one of the reasons she always has an open spot in any show I do. And in the 2 years I've gotten to know her now, the depths of her words, it's not just her research, like Dr. Jaggi says, coming from within. She's in a different stage, a different understanding of herself, and I feel it and I see it and I hear it in her words. So you're brilliant, and she doesn't like when people praise her, so praise her, because she should accept it, because she's I think she was one of the very first people I featured when I started the madness of the Inspired Poetry Corner. So I'm just grateful for her friendship, because she's another one that every so often we jump online and have a video chat just to get caught up and see where our hearts are and the craziness of the world. So anyway, Alexandra, thank you for your
May I share one of the things we chatted about online?
Sure.
I have been a little sort of overwhelmed by the horror and the atrocities of the latest events in Israel and Palestine. And I was discussing with Raoul, like, are all human beings at the equal level of evolvement? Because it doesn't seem to be that they are. And I did some theosophical research, and there is the theory that we don't all come from the same sources, from the same genes. It's the polygenistic theory that human beings come from different sources and genes and are on different levels and different paths of evolution. And that seemed to be the only thing that could somehow make sense why some people behave so atrociously, and of course others are so kind. That was the only sort of theosophical theory that made sense to me. I just wanted to share that.
We'll continue that conversation, because whatever answer I have, I really don't know either. It boggles the mind. I accept that, when I give answers, I'm more times than not, I'm in a place of comfort and luxury. Would I have a different answer if my environment was different? But I don't know. But
when I read that, it just, I somehow could accept that the savagery, certain human beings.
And I think there's some savagery we just can never accept. It just boggles the mind that other human beings can do these things. So, but to me, this is the beauty of the academy and having these types of conversations and wanting to dive into them deeper and understand them and looking at education in a different way. So that's why I said, Dr. Janelle, I don't know what visions you have for down the road, but I usually know people that start great things, it starts off small, they have no idea where it's going to go, and usually it's the membership that explodes it out. But we have a great opportunity to do something great, and what you just said, Alexandra, is proof of that. We need more meaningful conversations to understand our humanity. And my thing is, are we ready now to take that step on the evolutionary ladder and go, okay, what does human 2.0 mean and look like? Because we know what 1.0 was. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. All right, let's continue. Alexandra, again, thank you so much for being here and your continued support. So up next, we've already heard a voice, but now I get to hear your poetry again. I think you were at the first one, I'm not sure, but anyway. Harinda Chima, the mic is yours, my friend. Please share with us.
First of all, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
So a very good evening, and to all the eminent poets and friends. Heartiest congratulations to dear Janelle Singh Anand sir for the prestigious award Charter of Morawa. I know this is seems like a personal achievement because I feel I've known him forever and forever. He's such a source of inspiration and influence in my life. So, and greetings to everyone here, and especially Royal James, whom I'm meeting for the first time on Facebook. It's a real pleasure to be meeting a person like you. So not taking much of the time, I would start with my poem, which is one of my favorites, not because it's a multiple award-winning poem, but it is very close to my heart since we are talking about ethics here. And as humans, sometimes we get very confused. It's ethical way of life or ethical way of living is not very easy to follow. And so many questions are raised. But I feel that in spite of everything, we should walk on. In spite of adversity, adverse circumstances, we should not give us the choice to follow any other way, because ethical way of life, for me, is the only way of life. So starting with my poem, just walk on. Just walk on the path of truth. Your old age will thank your youth. See that nothing can deter you from the righteous path, even if you have to bear the people's wrath. Working hard from dawn to dawn, just walk on. The temptations will lure you. The monotony will bore you. Some people will leave you, but some would believe you. For God's sake and not people's sake, remember you are for a purpose born. Just walk on. The world will not understand you, dear. People will laugh, making you subject of jeer. On a hazy day with a vision clear, materialism will give way when you blow the spiritual horn. Just walk on. Everything is transient. Everything will be gone. The palatial houses, the plush lawns, and one day there would be no one to mourn. But you can spread light as a rising sun. The journey itself will become the destination. Living eternally, bearing death beneath a tombstone. Just walk on. And if you have committed some sins, there is still a chance to win. Afresh you have to begin. forever leave the devils in. Repair the soul that is torn. Check if the switch of your conscience is on. Just walk on. In the beginning, the path will seem forlorn. You will feel you're walking all alone. But only if you walk away from the crowd, making your creator proud, there would be perpetual light and eternal day. Angels will greet you on the way. And as a pure soul with impurities gone, just walk on. So that was my first poem. I was told I'm supposed to read 2 poems. So that was my first one. And a very small one. Are we fortunate? We are fortunate, people tell me. We are living in the 21st century. We have advanced. We have progressed. We are living in a time which is best. We have malls, we have theaters, we have multiplexes showing great pictures. We have computers, we have the internet, and we can go to the disco after the sunset. It's a new age, it's a new world of Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's. We have money, we have power. Love we can buy or hire a lover. Listening to all this, I felt amused and said, my dear friends, I fully agree with you. We surely are advancing all the time. Virtues and values we have left behind. Like modern Napoleons, we want to conquer more without realizing what lies in store. We will meet Napoleon's fate too if we don't stop advancing towards the Waterloo. Thank you so much. It's a privilege and honor to be here. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
You are most welcome. Thank you. I feel like I'm stealing from you guys. You guys are just enriching my soul, my spirit. I'm listening to you, your poem. And the first one, just walk on. I wrote this line, just walk on, for this too shall pass. That's what that poem, that whole piece that you read, that first would just walk on, that kept playing in my head, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. That's a brilliant piece. And then from your second piece, you can spread light as a rising sun or as a harvest moon. So I love poems where you can just hear certain lines and you could extrapolate a line from a poem and make a whole new poem out of it. So well done, my friend. Well done. Thank you so much for being here today. So great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So great.
Thank you.
Okay. As I always say in my other show, I go from brilliance to brilliance. So let's continue going on. Up next, we have Professor Saranya Francis. Is that correct?
Saranya, yes.
Saranya, okay. Thank you.
Saranya.
Okay. Say it again, one more time.
Saranya.
Saranya, okay. Saranya. That's why I said, please, I invite your corrections because I know I'm not saying it right. Anyway, the mic is yours, my friend.
Thank you so much, Rol. It's wonderful to hear you host. I mean, it's tying all of it together so beautifully. I apologize to the esteemed audience. I'm not able to turn my video on for now, but I will still, read with all the might I can muster amidst this August gathering, having heard all these beautiful voices. Dr. Janelle Singh, Dr. Parneet Jaggi, Dr. Molly Joseph, Rol, all of you, wonderful, wonderful being a part of this evening. I start off with my first poem. I feel it's extremely relevant to the times we live. It's called Someday. Someday. And someday when all this fussing is over, you'll see that jasmines and jaguars are made of the same elements of matter. And the blood that flows in the veins of the hunter is ruled by the same law of flowing and bleeding as the hunted. And both will one day become the medium for more life, just like you and I. Someday, when this jostling for space and power will cease to please, your senses meant for something higher, you'll know that we are all headed to the same threshold of the same sky dweller, to rest, you and I. Someday, when the rainbow dissolves all its colors and decides to go back to the core of the spectrum, you'll see it. You'll see it, that the same white emptiness that holds all fulfillment within, and it would receive these illusions of otherness, and we laugh at our ideas of duality, you and I. Someday, when hierarchies stop amusing the one who suspends the ladder from that unknown beam, and the wood comes crumbling down to form a heap, a pyre that engulfs in its fire all hatred forever, we'll see that love is the very beam and the ground from which springs the tree of life, you and I. Someday, when borders drawn by lie makers are swallowed by the great leveler's mighty tears, and a few tears escape the deluge and repaints a borderless map, you'll see. We are the children of those happy tears that wipe borders, you and I. But until then, oblivious that this someday is the only truth there is, we will continue to believe in the myth of the binary and remain untouched by the hope of that someday, you and I. Speaking of speaking of tears that flow uninterrupted, tears that flow without really knowing the reason, my next poem I'd like to present, and it's called The Tears of Things. The Tears of Things. An undisputed piece of land that just is, unclaimed, unkept, and unushered into the formalities of life. Forgotten, like an aging grandmother with no possessions to protect or distribute. Thus, left unhassled by unwilling caretakers. Complete, yet fragmented in her existence. Both simply feed off the tears of things. The mountain, now excavated, all dug up to a state of nude, concave emptiness. No more the muse of monks and minstrels of salvation, no more the ambition of a novice mountaineer. Like a wronged maiden, exploited, repeatedly violated, left wasted by years of mindless taking, with no seekers nor vying suitors, waiting for a death-like something. Both hold on, simply, to the tears of things. The sea, in all her mysteries, fresh from shaking off a storm, redirecting her waves to form the perfect rhythm with a fascinating April moon, internalizing everything the many rivers bring, losing the purpose that water is meant for, yet raging in its own tectonic core like poets in their own waves of dreams, questioning their purpose and identity, condemned to live off all the experiences that many, many lifetimes bring to them. Trying to rhyme with a world that wanes and waxes in its whims, losing sight of the pragmatics of it all, yet writing, yet writing, yet writing, despite the unknown, wordless voids, in total acceptance of the tears of things. And my last poem tonight that I would like to present is a short one. And this one is dedicated to solitude. An Island of Solitude, it's called. As I open my eyes to the din of the day, an island of solitude beckons me to stay, away from all that saps life out of me, away from chaos, close to a solitary sea. An island where you and I are the same, where blue waves stoke love's purple flame, where life is simple, free of vindictive games, where home is eternal, beyond all mortal claims. A sky where stars promise light for the way, a field where maize stalks gleam in the prime of May. What I see may not be what is. These choppy waters may have a lot amiss, but my dreams to pursue the stars of the night gives my soul strength and my hope might. On a mission to be heard, my verse permeates. I soar, my wings with purpose reverberates. Love pervades my starry verse sky, and in that night song, I am it, and it is I. Thank you so much.
Oh, my friend. Wow. You know, such an intensity to your work and such a truth to it. And just listening to you, I just loved when you said, someday, you and I. Someday. That just kept ringing through my head throughout all three of your pieces. Someday. That's my hope. Someday we'll realize you and I, we are in this together. We're breathing the same air. That means we're connected. We're one. Beautiful words. Beautiful words. Excuse me, Professor Francis. Beautiful.
Thank you all. Thank you so
I think
much.
the intensity is something we all need to know and hear, and just to hear it in different ways. But man, that just resonates. Someday, you and I. Thank you for today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you.
Oh, you're most welcome, Professor Francis. Excuse my voice is going. Like I said, I'm still fighting this bug, but yeah, this is why I love what I do. This is why at times I feel like I'm robbing from you guys. You guys keep thanking me. No, I thank you for having the courage to put your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences into words, and then have the courage to share it with others. So thank you for that. All right, let's continue on from brilliance to brilliance. Up next, we have Dr. Sharminda. Is it Kura? Say that again.
Susminder.
Okay. And the last name?
Kaur.
Kaur. Kaur. Okay, Sharminda Kaur. Excuse me. Doctor, the mic is yours. Please share your poetry with us.
So much. Respected Dr. Janelle Singharan, Chairman of the session and President, International Academy of Ethics. First of all, accept my heartiest congratulations for such a prestigious award, sir. Dr. Maja, Vice President, Dr. Molly Joseph, the Coordinator, Dr. Raul James. It's a pleasure to meet you on FB for the first time. Dr. Bhagirath Choudhary, Dr. Parneet Jaggi, Dr. Harinder Seema, and other poets of the galaxy. I truly feel privileged to be a part of this esteemed gathering, and I'm humbled for this consideration. My first poem is After the Fall. A demon rose inside me, the brute, the archfiend. It trampled all the nobilities, all that was earned throughout life, all that was pure and pious, all that was unmingled and unblemished, all that was conquered and tamed inside, all that we crave and yearn to attain, all for what we have been sent hitherto, was demolished, smashed, and pulverized beneath a short, quick, demonic flash. Thence I entered into a long chain of such frantic, fiendish moments, started longing and striving for the gratification of the earthly gods and goddesses, roving into a Bethlehem of substance. I denounced all that was to be followed and chased the sparkling, glistening, and glittering, beauteous world, without attending to the ethereal, angelic voices within. Why Faustus was denounced can now be understood. Why Saturn was thrown out has become evident to me. Why the grand Lucifer is not grand actually has my mind absorbed. Why humans have become sphinx as in Oedipus Rex and fly with the wings of an eagle with all their treason has got a statement. Yes, a tamed mind is there, but taming of the vicious serpentine demon only, which renouncing and denouncing living in darkness. The human-centered soul becoming self-absorbed and self-indulgent. The demon is often on an ego trip, being egomaniac, blowing its own horn, haughty and pompous time and again, living in a stupor, depriving the noble inside with its obtuseness and stupefaction, by incessant affliction, turning itself to a meagre devil with all the decrepitude and feeble-mindedness, who will in perpetuum long for the celestial and transmundane. Would it be blessed with everlasting happiness to be gained after the temporal lifespan? Would it be finding a perpetual place in heaven? They say heaven and hell are only states of mind. What then to be gained or lost? But whatsoever is gained through wickedness has to be met with his unkindness, may be temporary or eternal. The interminable suffering or the sempiternal blessing is through the choice of karma. It's better to serve in heaven then than to reign in hell. I wish to share one more poem titled Shell. Once I visited a beach and gathered all the shells spread over there by the waves and tides. These were of multiple hues, but all together creating inside me an uproar to mix and merge myself into the matter and be modest and unassuming like these. Yes, they are saturated with humility, since they blend themselves with the sand and dust, albeit of great value. I brought all these along with me. As they say, the collection of shells is indicative of the prosperity you have. All I gathered and covered in my small hands, lest these should slip away, and I am bereaved of my amassed wealth. When the night fell, I sang my song of eternity into their ears, and my echo brought some sand out of these, and they became hollower. They retorted back, and I could hear the voice of the ocean. Utmost I tried to collect the treasure shrunk into these multi-hued beauties. What's this fortune? It's a question, response to which is completely our own. It can be a wealth of learning and wisdom, or it could be friendship. It can be the accumulated gadgets, or it could be the pile of fake mouthed relationships. Whatever the wealth is, shells are always mine. They will remain so, as these are not fake, are an ecstasy and a delight. And I have gathered and collected gradually, one by one, not to lose. I'll wait for my shell to stuff me and my path with its holy mantra, the spell of which shall be felt till the end, and perhaps after that too, for the generations to come. I really feel humbled and thank you very much for consideration and for the opportunity and the honor. Thank you very much.
Well, Dr. Kurt, the honor is ours. You have such a powerful voice in your writing, your prose. I can't remember the exact line, but talking about seashells and having basically a wealth in your hand. And it doesn't matter how much money we have in the bank or many houses and cars. That line you have your wealth in your hands. Like, you're a beautiful and powerful writer. You demand us to listen and to listen intently. That's a really unique gift. Thank you for that. And your words, very powerful words. I'd love to hear more of your stuff in future. Thank you. You honor us.
Bye.
You honor us. So thank you very much for being here. All right. Is Kiran Preet here? I'm not seeing the name, but that doesn't mean they're not on the phone if they're not here.
Kiran Preet is not. She left.
Okay. So then we will move on to our last guest poet, a friend from the various Zoom rooms, one of the women I admire. Let me just remove this spotlight. Diane Ward out of New York, the poet's poet, a friend to the poet. I love this woman because she doesn't just share her poetry, she loves to share poetry of other poets. So, Miss Ward, the mic is yours. I know she's here. Yeah, she's coming. There you are.
You can. I keep getting having computer issues. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, let me just say, as also a teacher, we try to find ways of making our classroom interesting, and it's up to us as poets and as teachers to find ways. So one of the things I did was I instituted a foreign film group, and I would bring foreign films, foreign to English-speaking children, films, and they did not believe me at first that there was such a thing as silent films. So I brought those in. They thought I was kidding. And then I brought films in that they wouldn't be afraid of watching films that are captioned. And because my students were from several parts of the world, when they finally saw a film that had the language that they speak at home there, oh my gosh, so much pride, so excitement, so much acceptance, and just joy children exude when they hear and see their language shared with children. So much so to the point that some kids started translating before the translator could. That's how exciting, and that's how you start that. That's how you start that kind of rapport with children. And this was kindergarten through 8th grade that I became the film lady. So they never knew what I was going to bring to the classroom, because I don't like to be bored as an instructor. So why would I come? That just does not make sense to me. Teaching adults, adults have less of an attention span, so that's a different headset when I teach adults. But children are little sponges, and you teach them right the first time. So for those of you that are teachers, we're all instructors, we're all believe that poets are responsible for bringing truths. I'm going to bring 2 short pieces. And the first one was given to me by a prompt. Darrell Fun and Teresa Davis out of Georgia have a open mic called Java Speaks. And the prompt he gave was, we tried to find bridges in a thunderstorm. So I took that and said, we tried to find bridges in a thunderstorm and instead found each other. Because to build bridges, you need building blocks and mortar and measuring tools to help identify boundaries, and a foundation of understanding requiring dialogue, and bringing the thinking to voice out into the air that contributes to the building, so that space is not caught unawares that movement and change is coming. So we burst bridges, and as soon as pathways appeared, we were able to enjoy the thunderstorm, which ignited the sky and our hearts with flashing lightning bolts of energy, lightning as binding energy. That's the second piece is in the book Tesoro. Tesoro, we are fire singers. It's our first anniversary book. Ali has heard this piece several times. And I am just so excited that we have this book out. And part of our role as people that are thinking in terms of ethics and morality is to show by our actions what we mean by that. So this piece is called What's Your Baby's Name? Right, love? This child I see, yet how many don't sing that we would prefer to shake our heads solemnly, shoulder shrug away and tend to forget. This child I see, you would rather forget unless this child shares your last name, was a cousin on your mama's side, was a neighbor, packed your groceries, washed your car for spending money, or attended the same camp as your kids? Or this child you had an affair with and you knew they were a minor? Oh, wrong audience. I had an accountability moment, thought you might want to entertain. This child I see has a name. It's not whore, trash, worthless, rag, or waste of space. Not named mistake, not I hate your daddy and too bad you look like him. Not named money ticket or earn your keep, and not dummy. This child I see deserves attention, but unfortunately too often resorts to negative behavior to get attention, because some attention is better than none in their eyes. So who is pathetic? This child I see can't envision a future beyond this present pain repeating itself over again with different authors, different sound bites, biting at their hide, their minds, their psyches. This child I see either puts on a brave face or shirks away, deeper and deeper away from the world. For all this child knows of this world is a formula of use and abuse. Let's not lose them. This child is one of many we must retrieve from being devalued by marketeers, traffickers, and for some their own treacherous, wayward, and generationally wounded families. Tell each child they have potential, are brightness, are beautiful, are lovable and loved. Whisper that in the next abused child's ear and take their hand towards healing and hope. Pay attention and act and report. And don't stop aiding the children we all see. Please. DMW. Thank you so much. Congratulations, awardees. I am so blessed to be in your midst. Thank you.
You never fail to amaze, my friend. That's the first time I heard that piece. And I think anytime in the future we talk about children, and when we say we're doing this for the children, we say that and then we kind of do the opposite many times. When anytime someone says that, you should be paid to come and read that poem. Anytime anyone says we're doing it for the future and our children are the most important resources, and then at times we act the opposite, they should hear that poem.
Exactly.
We may have
sorry, go ahead, Dr. Yes.
On this, we may have a panel discussion on this topic.
Yes.
Exactly.
She has put it very decently and in a very telling manner. Really, it was amazing and very powerful, performance.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Yes, Dr. Jaggi, Diana, we are blessed to have you among us. And I was very much thinking of having a real panel discussion with you people who live on the edge of the kind of living experience. It's not fictionalizing. You are just rubbing against the reality, dealing with children. Definitely. We are really blessed by your presence. Diane, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is poetry mixed with pain. Poetry with real pain, actually. Great listening to you.
I wrote down, Diane, as you were reading that, we are all this child. And that's what kept resonating to me. We are all this child because we were all children.
Great and powerful poetry, heart-touching.
I think you struck a nerve, and yeah, Dr. Janelle, we definitely need to have a panel discussion about this, and with layman's, moderated by our friend Dr. Jaggi.
Yeah.
But the most important thing you said, Diane, about all the words were important. When you said, "Teach them right the first time." You only get them once. Teach them right the first time. And maybe if we do remember, I am this child, we might do that. And we might create systems that does that. That's a brilliant piece. I think that piece is something that the world needs to hear in a greater scale. That's brilliant. Because maybe if that's the case, if we all saw, I have 3 beautiful children. 2 are still with us. One is off to the next adventure. I look at my children, my sister's children are no different. Those are my children. I don't need to know Dr. Molly's grandson to know I love her grandson. So anyway, yeah, I just this is why I love the Academy. I know we're new and we're still trying to figure things out, but man, the potential and what we bring together and the people that are here to support that will one day too have a voice, because we want to hear all your voices and all your brilliance and all you have to say. So that's the end of the poetry presentation. We have 2 things left to do. And one of them is that Dr. Molly will come and do a gratitude. But before that, this is a new segment. And the show seems long, but we actually only been going over 2 hours because they started later, giving people a chance to show up. I'm just trying to make you feel better for being here for a good portion of the morning. But this young man, I'm going to read this because I cut and pasted it from an article out of a Belgrade paper. Indian author Dr. Janil to be honored at the 60th Belgrade International Meeting of Writers with the Charter of Morova. Belgrade, Dr. Janil S. Anand, the Donyat of the world literary scene and top-ranking figure of Indian literature, will be honored by the Association of Serbian Writers in Belgrade with the Charter of Morova, an international award for his creativity, and his name will be engraved on the Poet's Rock, placed in the heart of Serbia during his forthcoming visit. Obviously, this was written before they found out that he couldn't attend, but I still wanted to read it, where he will be a guest of the 60th Belgrade International Writers Meeting in October, the most important and longest running annual event in Serbia and in the region. Dr. Anand has authored 152 books, has established the International Academy of Ethics, was conferred the honorary membership of the Serbian Writers Association in Belgrade, which he's a rare honor itself. The event is expected to direct the eyes of the public towards Serbia, and thus will direct the eyes upon him. As I said earlier, and then Dr. Mahler said it in her opening comments, I had no idea how big a deal this was, and this is why I wanted to do the research. So before we ask him to come and share a moment of philosophy with us, once again, I personally want to say thank you. Thank you for coming into my life. Thank you for the gifts that you offer to the world. It is needed. You are one voice that I think many need to hear. You know, like Diane says, you know, when you get them, teach them right the first time. I think you do that on a regular basis in regards to how you interact with us and what you provide to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present, excuse me, this year's recipient of the Belgrade International Meetings of Writers, the Charter of Morova, Dr. Janelle Arnett. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raleigh. It is my privilege to be, mentioned in these terms, welcomed and honored by my colleagues, my friends. First of all, I would like to thank you for organizing this wonderful function. And I also thank all the poets who have been sticking here for quite long. And I don't intend to take much time now. Although I wish to share so many things, it is another thing that I could not visit Serbia. But it was a call which could not be resisted. I tried, but I had to cancel my visit because of my wife's illness. I got a call when I was going to from Bombay to further Lufthansa airport. So anyway, the thing is that the Serbian people, the Serbian Association, conferred its most prestigious award, the Charter of Morava. Morava is a Ganga-like river in Serbia, and which carried a cash prize also. And this is for first Indian. The name was put on the Poet's Rock, and they waited me very patiently, very keenly. It is another thing that I could not make it. But now again, whenever I get a chance, month ends, 2 months, 3 months, I have been invited there to visit them. It is out of love, which I really acknowledge. So, friends, so far as the idea of philosophy is concerned, I may like to say a few words, which I have always felt. Philosophy can be an academic exercise also, but with me, it is not academic. This is how we live, how we feel, how we act ourselves out in our life. It was around 30 years back when I was in the school. I was studying in 9th standard or somewhere when I read a quote. And the quote was, every person must be either a philosopher or a fool. Every person must be either a philosopher or a fool. Now, up till today, I have not been able to understand if we are not philosophers, how we are fools. I don't know. Actually, it is too much for us. Even then it was too much, even now it is too much, but I can simply relate to it that the idea of knowledge that was imparted to us through Eve, I think instead of knowledge, when we say a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, a little knowledge, whether it is a little or the little, it is always dangerous because we should have bargained for wisdom. Just imagine, instead of knowledge, which is, apish and mischievous also, it can work on both sides. If we had got wisdom, we would have been in a better place. So, if we cannot philosophize or know things are taking shape, if we cannot recognize the patterns behind our actions and our compulsions, whatever is happening, there is a pattern behind it. Whatever we are doing, there is a philosophy behind it. It is another thing that we are able to understand it or not. So if we cannot understand it, now whatever we are doing, if we cannot understand what we are doing, it means we cannot call ourselves wise by any stretch of imagination. Most of the people are victims of the ruling philosophic systems. They are made so helpless that they do not have time to think. Here is the crux of the matter. You have no time to think and revolt against their pitiable conditions. This is the issue. The ruling systems make sure that the imaginative capabilities of the people are jeopardized. Imaginative. The attack is on imagination. They are forced into 24/7 work. They have been reduced to arms and legs, and brain works only to sustain ourselves in life. One more point to be noted, we have removed every possibility of leisure from our lives. A good family time, the time to love and dream. This is the ruling narrative, the ruling philosophy to make people victims of this system. And we are its victims. And this intellectual servility, we get so much of knowledge, we get degrees, we get jobs also, but this is intellectual servility is perpetuated with the help of an education. We were talking of education, which is loaded with information seekers. Knowledge in itself is a blind force unless it is given a social and cosmic orientation. I want to refer back to Shri Bhagirath Choudhary, our first person. Knowledge is like an electric current. It has its destructive potential as well. Electricity can give you shocks. It is giving us shocks now. I think there is a disconnect between what we are and what we ought to be. We focus on the physical aspect of our living, ignoring the cosmic dimension. Here we are losing something. It seems we live for ourselves, our family at the most. Are we not members of an international community? This question needs to be asked. Are we not members of an international community? Are we not members of a cosmic unity? We are members of this cosmic creation also. We forget it. We need to impart this dualistic vision to our young people. And this understanding is best imparted by literature, which has suffered a setback in our educational system. We need to correct this disorder, because the fall in the social system and thinking patterns can be corrected only by literature, which is meant for the welfare of the masses. So we must get back to literature. One more thing which I have observed here, Dr. Raleigh and my friends, I want to focus on one more point here. The thing is that we are discussing these things and they remain within our intellectual circles, right? I think these things need to travel in a very simple language to the mass. The masses are suffering. We are talking in our closed rooms, our closed conferences. In a poets' conference, we don't invite ordinary people who are our fuel for poetry. We write poetry about the daughter of a poor man. We write poetry about a cab driver. We write poetry about a fisherman, but they are never in our poetry conferences. And our poetry is so, difficult. We try to make the poetic exercise so difficult that even if they read it, it will never go to them. So here is what I understand is there is a disconnect between what we are thinking, what we are saying, and what is going to the society. Society is absolutely unaware of what we are doing. So here I want to you to address this question. Bhagirath Choudhary is here. If we are talking the things to ourselves, we are doing half the job. You see, there were Guru Nanak, there were Vivekanand, there were other big saints. They had a message. They had to travel to the people. They had to go. Books and scriptures only don't do the job. So I mean, our connect with the masses is very important. So this was what I had to say from my side. Thank you once again, Dr. Raleigh, all my friends, Bhagirath Choudhary Sahab, Parneet Jaggi ji. I am thankful to all of you to make this, meeting a wonderful experience for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anna. Thank you for your words of wisdom as always. And I like this to be a regular feature where you get to speak for a few moments with us and share your insights outside of your poetry. So thank you. I hope your wife's doing better. And once again, congratulations on such an honor. Like I said, Dr. Mali and I are going to talk about doing something to honor you properly. So speaking of Dr. Mali, I'll invite you to share a blessing of gratitude, if you don't mind, my friend. Oh, you're muted. I think you're still muted, Dr. Mali.
Oh.
Yes.
There you are.
Yeah. I was on mute, sorry. Dear August gathering, of course, all of you will agree with me that we were having scintillating moments, intellectually, imaginatively, creatively. Yes, all due to this great mastermind behind Dr. Jarnail, who makes us proud day by day. We have heard, we have seen how he is recognized worldwide for his great humanitarian endeavors he is taking up. Dear Jarnail ji, we are so happy to work under you because there is so much of energy. I mean, the kind of pooling of energies, synergy, I would say, that with your maverick you are collecting from the talented people who have gathered here itself is an example. So first and foremost, as my token of gratitude along with great appreciation for your achievement, let me thank you, our founder, our inspiring torchbearer, Dr. Jarnail Singh Anand. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Maja is away, but every time she seldom fails to give a kind of message. She was there to start it, to kick it off. Usually she attends it. At times she compensates with a kind of video, a patronizing, supportive video. Thank you, Maja, even in your absence. Now, what to say about our dear, revered Bhagirath Choudhary, sir? You are adorning the very position of the featured poet as a mature thinker, philosopher, with a kind of sagacity, the kind of insightfulness about things we already know. What a profound repertoire of knowledge you are. I mean, doing research, even the latest in the science and the technological development, yoking it together with what can we do on the practical plane in our insights, addressing the contemporaneity, engaging with the world. You're always a great torchbearer in this area, and you are adorning us. This particular session was made so illuminative in the sense we all got benefited by your sparklights that you throwed in. Thank you so much, Bhagirath. And our dear Parneet, who is a seasoned anchor. I would say her anchoring, she used to anchor our panel discussions with analytical insights. And here she is donning the garb of a poet and presenting her poems that are close to our heart. Parneet, we really thank you from the depth of our heart for your wonderful presence. I know you are very, very busy. That's why sometimes you are missing. But keep in touch and let us, this thing, energize this International Academy of Ethics to greater heights. Thank you. Then came the bevy of the poets, the kind of poets like Alexandra, whom I am quite familiar with. Her spiritual, elevative way of presenting her poem, as well as her soft, somber, mature kind of voice modulation. Alexandra, you have no equal. We are blessed by your presence, dear. Thank you so much. Of course, there came a galaxy of poets after her. There was Harinder. Harinder, you have an impactful way of writing and rendering. Nobody can equal that. Many a poets meet, I have heard you, got so thrilled by the impact that you create through your lines. And of course, this time too, you enthused us with your presence. Thank you, dear Harinder. Of course, there came Sharanya Francis, a close friend of mine who is busy. With her college activities, a very inspired and inspiring teacher she is. And there is a rare kind of intensity that goes within her lines and her way of rendering. In her absence, she has left. Messaged me, especially she had to leave. I thank Sharanya too. And of course, there is my dear friend, the unassuming but the very capable and I would say very talented, dedicated and committed poet and professor, Susminder, Dr. Susminder. I have to thank you, Susminder, from my heart, because you also adorned the firmament of the stars that are studying the sky today, the poetic sky. And I hope I have not left anyone else behind, the poets, Alexandra, Sharanya.
Dr. Molly,
Yes.
let us acknowledge the presence of Dr. Franca Colazo. She is very much present today. Thank you very much, Dr. Franca.
I am referring to that.
Yes.
Two, three people are there. Franca was there from the very beginning. And I was greeting her. And I wish next time, Franca, definitely you will be having a kind of an illuminating session with your immense potential and your kind of, the kind of experience you have in various fields, Franca. Next time we are waiting to hear you.
Thank you. Just 2 words. Thank you to Dr. Jarnail Anand for inviting me to the Ethics Academy, and thank you for this Zoom meeting. The first time I attended this Zoom. I attend a lot of Zoom meetings. I live in Italy, just to tell you, and I beg your pardon for my English. I want to tell Alexandra, you did a wonderful job, wonderful design. I am astonished. I was really, each of you were wonderful. Appreciated the speech of Dr. Jarnail, and I have shared here in chat the last part of your speech because I translated by Google very quickly. The only thing I see now, there is no subtitles in this Zoom, and I am wondering why. Because it's good, especially for me. I am a very distracted woman. I do a lot of it, 2 phones here, people writing. So for distraction, sometimes I prefer to have all the time subtitles in a Zoom meeting. Now, this is just my question.
Okay.
No problem anyway. About ethics, I have answered some questions about this matter. I don't want to speak about Palestine, about Gaza, because I am really destroyed. No words. This is something like a genocide for me, in my vision, because I am a pacifist, a humanitarian, and I cannot tolerate, especially children in that situation. So I wrote a lot of poems. Today also, while I was at the beach, I like to swim a lot, 6 months every year when sun shines. And so I have a solitary rocks with the seagulls and cormorants. And on that solitary rocks is my special place. I write poems. This is my passion. But I want to say only 2 things about the poor, those poor people. We all of us as intellectuals, as poets, and the people of goodwill especially, should do something. Let hear our voice. I work until 2 a.m. every night, I swear, and you can see on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, that blocks me almost every day for 1 hour, 2 hours. I have this problem. So I don't want to talk a lot. I should leave you and say thank you for all your wonderful job you do, wonderful things, Zoom, wonderful poems. Each of us
Thank you so
are
much.
special. You are special, and thank you. I say you goodbye. Ciao from Italy, and a good night. Blessings.
Can
Ciao.
I say something to Franca?
Ah sì, Alessandra,
Sono molto felice che tu sei qui.
Thank you.
sono molto felice di sentirti parlare in italiano.
Yeah. Thank you, Frank.
Allora, I just wanted to say that I read this whole thing that you wrote here in the chat, and I agree that you made a very important point, that it's not just about education, but what kind of education, you know, because most of these people who are ruling the world and making decisions, who dies, who lives, are incredibly educated and clever people. They're not stupid. They really know their stuff. So where, you know, it's not just about education, it's about spiritual education.
Education, what kind of education?
What kind of education?
Another question.
Yeah.
And when the fascists were in Italy,
hey guys, let's
special education.
Ladies,
It means
ladies,
you
can
should
we,
understand.
ladies, can we take this conversation offline?
Exactly, because you have to be.
Namaste, namaste.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you, Dr. Franca, for the interventions. Yes, we will ponder over it. And I would say, for your information, we are not simply waxing eloquent on philosophy, poetry, or whatever concerning the present crisis. We were doing concrete steps even. We passed a resolution. We sent it to UN. In our own way, through practical lines, we are trying to address the issues around us. Yes, that topic is over. And now, I would like to thank Dr. Tariq Ahmad also, who was here for a long time, sparing his busy moments with us. And there was another person whom I found. It was named like Galaxy somebody. Is it Jelda or somebody? Dr. Jarnailji? Was it Jelda attending? So many guests were there. Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah,
We
and
must
that's all. Yeah, once again, Role, everything rolls back to you. It's all your maverick, man. Really, you do wonders as a host. Because the kind of transparency you exude, the genuine human being within you, one of the best human beings I've come across when I am with so many poets meet. There is nothing like any kind of, I am that, I am this, like that, no kind of veneers you put in. The man, the plain, the raw, the ordinary man. But such people can do wonders in the world. There is no need for any air to put on that I will do that, I can do that, nothing.
Dr. Raleigh, International Academy of Ethics is really proud of our association with Dr. Raleigh. I am jealous.
Yeah, exactly, Jarnail. It was a turning point.
And we can work together for further exploration of these.
People
Okay.
have so much potential. Really.
Dr. Molly, big salute to you for all your endeavors. And thank you so much for your beautiful words.
Thank you, dear Chima. See, we all stand together, join hands, and make this body a very unique body, which can impact the world around. That's our dream.
Well,
okay.
Thank
so
you.
thank you, Role.
Thank
And ultimately, I thank you for taking this up and then making ourselves visible on the map.
Thank you,
Keep
Muliman.
doing our part.
Thank you
Just
so
want to
much.
say thank you before we all go. Thank you. One of the reasons our shows go so long is because people, it's not that they want to talk, they have things they want to say. This is why it's important that when we come together, we don't look at the clock. We look at the faces and we value the time that we get to spend together. And technology is not perfect. So if we have to start over again or recite a poem because of technology, so be it. But the fact is, it's not that we just want to talk, we have things to say. And I want to hear what you have to say. Why? We are connected. We breathe the same air, we drink the same water. We all come from woman, and death will visit us all. When we talk about what kind of education we need to educate, because Alexandra is right, the elites are extremely educated and well-learned and understand what they're doing. The question is, going back to Dr. Jaggi, when you talk about it needs to come from the inside out. The average person needs to understand their power, and it stems from the inside. And the world that they live in, they see, is a reflection of what they hold within. And when we band together, you gotta remember, the elites are a few. We are the majority. We have the power. I understand the world we live in. I live in a world of duality. So we have to accept the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. How much bad and how much ugly? That's up to us. That is up to us. Every single one of us in this Zoom, that's in our extended circle in the world. So I thank you. I thank you for inviting me to be a part of your world, to share time with you, because I don't care if it's 2 or 3 hours. I got up this morning to spend time with my fellow colleagues at the International Academy of Ethics. If that's all I've done today, it's been a great day. That's how important you are. I want to say thank you to our feature, our poets, all the members of the Academy, those that are here, those that are not. Dr. Janelle, you want to say something before we go? Last words?
I would simply say a big thanks to all of you.
Thank you. Yes.
I would like,
Yeah, please.
yeah, well, I'm Isabella.
Oh,
Sorry, from Italy.
Isabella.
Italy, yeah.
Isabella, sorry, my goodness. I see.
I was missing
Welcome.
probably the
Yeah.
latest to be
Yeah,
involved
we
in this
couldn't
chat.
make it, Isabella, sorry.
Yeah. May I read you just 2 poems, 2 or 3, to end everything? Or
well,
it's too late?
well, no, we're here. Just do 2.
Two.
Real quick.
Just 2 because
Think of it this way: we had other people that were supposed to be here that didn't make it. You're taking their place.
Yeah, of course. And just like Franca, I have no words from what's happening in the Far East, in the Middle East, actually, and between Israel and Palestine. And I'm so sad for this, And I wrote 2 poems about hope. Listen. In this night of falling stars, we stand in the middle of the plain in despair and loneliness. Everywhere, burnt corpses of violated women and beheaded children. A nightmare, the cemetery of the world. Tomorrow, the hidden sun will rise anew with its burden of grief and tears. But look, there is something beyond those hills with shades of emerald green. Eternity. Yes, I'm sure. The last one is let's stay human. Let's stay human. That's what we have been trying to do since Cain killed his brother, unsuccessfully. The man of stone has become the man of technology, but nothing has changed. The blood of the innocent floods the world. Let's stay human. If not, let's turn, at least, into sea waves or leaves. Stop. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Isabella, for that. Thank you for sharing.
Very good climax.
Yeah. Well, sometimes with life, you just have to go with the flow and you improvise in the moment. So I'm grateful that, and Dr. Frank, I look forward to hearing more of your works. I follow your conversation in the chat. So I like the way you think. So I'd love to talk more. Isabella, I want to hear more of your poetry. I just want to say one more thing. Thank you again to Mr. Choudhary, to Dr. Jaggi, to Alexandra, to Harinda, to Sarana, to Sharinda, to Diane, to Dr. Molly, to Dr. Janelle, to Dr. Maja, that's not here, but she always does have a presence, even if she's not physically here. But I just want to say thank you again for this opportunity. I look forward to doing one in December. Dr. Molly and I are going to get talking about that, because I think what we will do is build something and center around our honored leader, because I think it's something that needs to be honored. It's not just an honor for him, it's an honor for the country of India. And that's a big thing. It is you should smile. You deserve to smile. It's a big thing. It's not something little. The fact that your embassy decided, oh, he's not coming, we'll go and get it for him. That's a big thing, my friend. But the fact that I'm a little boy from an island called Trinidad and Tobago, and here I get to sit with such a...
Thank you so much.
It blows my mind. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you. I'll see you guys in 2 months. Look for the information on the upcoming show in December. Until then, be gentle with yourselves so you can be gentle with others.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Love you
Thank
all.
you, dear. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Namaste. You find everything in chat,
Hello.
so you don't waste your time. Not to waste your time, I shared everything in chat. Also the journalist's speech.
Okay. Well, what I could do is try to pull it out and send it to the
Hold
site
on.
or post
Okay.
it anyway. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Be well.
Bye.
Be well.